This is going to be an interesting one. I have this large piece of dark glass. Now, if you recognize it, you'll know where it come from. If you don't, I'll tell you very shortly where that come from. I am going to use this and I am going to do a fused glass project. I'll tell you more about that shortly and I'll tell you where this come from. For now, if you haven't been to my channel before, and welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff. I'm a glass artist and I basically present fused glass projects on this channel. And hopefully you'll find one of them or more of them that are basically some help to you in what you're doing. Now, back to this piece of glass. If you looked at it when I had it up there before, it looks a bit funny, doesn't it? It looks like it maybe it's sandblasted or something on that side. Here's a clue. That's not sandblasted, that's actually thin metal that's been adhered to it. You know what it is? Put it in the comments. I'd love to know, before I tell you, what did you think this is and where do you think it come from? Now, pause it, do it. Sorry, I've got to be demanding sometimes. I'm going to tell you where this comes from. It comes from the front of the door to our oven. It is a glass sheet that is attached to the front of the oven door. And there's another piece on the back of it. It basically just started falling off because, believe it or not, I can't believe this, the manufacturers of this oven actually had it attached at the bottom with glue. Don't ask me, I don't know anything about building ovens, but one thing I would have thought is that glue is not going to hold with heat. Anyway, let's move on. So this had to be replaced. I don't think I can get these sheets of metal off. I've tried to do it and I'm a bit afraid that if I start basically sticking something under it and trying to lever it off, this is all going to shatter when I don't want it to. I believe this is tempered glass. According to the guy that replaced it, he said it's tempered glass. So if I give it a good whack, it's just going to go boom into small pieces. And it's those small pieces that I'm going to use in a project. And I'll show you very shortly what I'm thinking of doing with it. But the first thing I've got to do is try and get all of this glass separated from this glass. Now if I hit this, I'm assuming this is all just going to shatter and leave these pieces, well, at least adhered, probably cracked, but at least adhered to this so nothing gets mixed up. So that's what I'm hoping. And if that happens, we'll get enough glass to do the project. Now, this is not bullseye glass, so any of the schedules I give you, just forget them. Don't try and use them because they won't apply. I have no idea what the COE of this is. So I'm just going to wing it, so to speak, and take it up to temperatures that I think are going to work. But of course I'm going to have to watch it all the way up and just make sure I don't overfuse it or underfuse it, because my plan is just a contour fuse on this. Excuse me. However, just because it's not bullseye and it's not a glass you're used to, doesn't mean you mustn't be safe. Make sure you wear glasses when you're doing anything like this. This is going to shatter all over the place. I'm going to cover it to make sure I try and contain it so it doesn't go flying off in all sorts of directions. So stay safe, make sure you wear glasses, wear a mask whenever suitable. What else can I say? Oh, if you like the video, make sure you make a comment, hit the like button, think about subscribing or becoming a member. And YouTube have a new feature called Hope. This helps smaller channels like me surface and become more visible. So if you can find the button for that, think about clicking that hype button as well. Now, let's go on. I'll take this over onto, or I should say I'll move my camera and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Okay, let's have a closer look at this thing. You can see that is metal. You can see it there, and it goes around that edge slightly. Basically, it doesn't go right around, so the back of it here is not metal. It's mainly there and around that edge. And I have tried to take that off, but I'm a little worried, as I said, I'm a little worried about putting too much force on it. Once I get this into probably blanket or something like that anyway, I will maybe try, but other than that, I'm just really planning on giving this a whack, and hopefully we'll see what happens. There's that black there, by the way, feels like a film. It's not metal, but it feels like a film that they've attached to that somehow or other, so I've got to deal with that as well. But you can see it's a nice dark colour, and it is transparent, and it should look good actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it all up into small pieces, or break itself up into small pieces if it's tempered, and then I'll form them into a platter shape, so it'll be like a rectangular shape, and I'm thinking of actually dribbling white enamel around it, so that when I tack fuse it together, I will have some white streaky decorations, just to break up the blackness of it. I'm not sure about that, whether that might spoil it, but basically I just want a textured contour fuse on this and form it into a triangular shape, probably cold work the edges a bit, and then just slump it into a bowl, or a platter I should say. So what I'm going to do next is work out how I can enclose this thing, and try and maybe get this metal off, and if I'm not successful at that, then I'll just whack it with a hammer. Okay, what I've done is I've wrapped a sheet all around this, and I'm going to take a chisel and I'm going to just see, this is the actual backside. You see, there's not much there to actually grip onto. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I don't know what that is, honestly. It's like they've well and truly glued something on. I can feel the lip, but I'm not too sure what it is. So actually what I'm going to do is I will turn it over the other way now. I was going to try and see if I can get under that, but I can't, so I'll turn it over the other way and then see if I can pry that metal off and see what happens. Okay, I've done that. I've turned it over, so this is the side with the metal, and then I've realised that even if this does break up, there's going to be something stuck to the backside of all of those pieces, and I will never be able to sort them and get rid of those bits that have that stuck to it, whatever it is. So really all I want is, forget all this stuff, I just want that glass in there that's clean. So what I'm going to do is very gingerly try and score across there. I think it's going to shatter once I start, but I'm going to try and score across there and just see what happens. And I am going to put on a full face mask and see what happens. Well, it didn't shatter. I'll turn it around and I'll do the other end. Finally, I'm not surprised that was hard because it was on the front of an oven door. So obviously, to be safe, it needed to be able to withstand a lot of abuse. So that's what we've got. It has just shattered as I would have expected. Not quite as much as I would have expected. You can see, there, you can see the lines through there. There are other pieces that have survived, that hasn't. But then that's got that finish on the back of it. So that's held it together. So now I'll just sort through all this, pull out all the stuff that I want to use, and we can move on. So, okay, what I'm doing here now, as you can see, these pieces here are going to break up easy. Which I'm going to do. I'm going to go through and break everything up. Not with my hands. But I'll grab a piece from over here and you can see the division between where it had that coating on it. So I'm just going to take off what I can and the rest goes in a bin. So this will take me a while to do. Put on some gloves, I'll do this and then I'll come back. So I've finished breaking this up. Now there are small pieces there that haven't totally separated, as you can see there, but they separate just by picking them up, so they're just barely hanging together. I'm not worried about those. That'll just add to the texture of the piece. Now I've washed all of this thoroughly and I have sieved it to get out any really fine particles. The reason I've done that is that it is transparent even though it is dark, and fine particles often produce a sort of a cloudy look about it, and in other glass, like in really clear glass, you'd want to do that. You don't want really fine particles in amongst larger particles, at least in my experience. So all of that is ready to go, and this is where it's going. Now what I have here is thin fire paper on the shelf. I've dammed it up around. These are all to hold things in place, obviously. I've dammed it up, and up against the sides here I have thin fire, and you see little bits of thin fire here that I'll push in as I fill this up. I'm going to get all that glass and I'm going to fill this up to sort of just below where those pieces of thin fire are. I don't think it'll use all the glass, it may. We'll just wait, we'll just see what happens. Something I must mention is that I have gone to the trouble to make this square as possible. I've used one of these and just squared up the sides. So I'll fill this up and then we'll get it in the kiln for that contour fuse. It'll actually probably be a bit more than a contour fuse because I still want the texture or an undulating surface, but I don't want any holes. So it's got to fuse together enough to all bond together into one piece, but still leave that undulating sort of rough surface or contoured surface. One of the things that I have talked about in previous videos is testing your kiln to try and find out where the cool spots are. Now, you would normally think, well, the cooler spots are in the corners and it's hotter in the centre. This piece demonstrates that exactly. If you have a look at it, I'll show you there, the centre of the piece is smoother and the pieces of glass have melted together much more than around the edge. You can see that all around here it is much rougher than the centre of the piece, and I am assuming that's what it is. The kiln was hotter in the middle, which makes total sense, than certainly in the corners and around that edge there. So this is our result, and I actually quite like it. I think it's very unique, and I'm very happy with that. So as far as I'm concerned, we can continue with the project. So from here, what I'm going to do is I am going to do some cold work on these edges. There's sharp pieces there, and then I'm going to sandblast it. And then I'm going to slump it because I want that satin finish. But before I do that, I just thought I might try and show you here. Don't know whether you can see it, there's so much. But there are little holes which I was hoping I wouldn't end up with. But I have got holes where the glass has not melted enough and combined enough. But I'm not terribly worried about that. You can see the transparency here, which we're going to keep. So, off to my flat lap, and now I'm going to do some cold work on these edges. I finished that little bit of coal working. Something I didn't show you was the texture on the back, and before I sandblast, I'll just show that to you. There we go. That's I love that. It's a really amazing texture. Reminds me of something, but I just can't think what it is. If you can think of it, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But definitely reminds me of something. And even in the middle here, you can see the pieces are closer together than the edge, but they haven't fused fully like the top of this has, of course. The elements are in the top of the kiln, so it's probably got to do with that. Anyway, I'm going to go and sandblast this now. I finished my coal working. I have did a little bit of work on the edges there just to make sure I get rid of all those little sharp pieces, and the corners, just touched them off a little bit. Then I've sandblasted the whole thing. I think I've got it all. It's a bit hard to tell with this because it's because it's so rough, so you've got to try and get into all those little crevices. But I think I've got it all. I'll show you the back here. So there's the back, there's that pattern again. Gee, I wish I could. Is it alligator hide or crocodile hide? I'm in Australia. I don't know. Reminds me of something. Anyway, I will prepare my mould and I'll get this in the mould, and the mould I'm using is just that slight curve. It's a platter mould that I had made for myself. This is one of those times where I'm going to find it very hard to describe my feelings for that. I really didn't know how it was going to work out because I'd never worked with tempered glass and definitely not from the front of an oven. So I didn't really know what to expect. And I don't know whether you remember in the very beginning, I had the idea of maybe taking some enamel, some white enamel, and sort of dribbling over it. But I decided against that, and I'm very glad I didn't, because the texture in that is just amazing. I just love the texture in that. And I love that pattern on the back. And I still can't figure out what it reminds me of. But that's really satin finish. And it's just so intriguing, so interesting. A little industrial, I suppose, is how you would put it. But just so interesting. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. And I'm sure you're going to have questions on this one. So please put those questions in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best I can. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. Make sure to turn on your notifications, because if you don't do that, you won't know when I've done new videos. Think about becoming a member. And apparently there's a hype thing. I've never used it, don't know where it is, but hit that hype button wherever it is. And that's it for this one. As I said, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, up here there's a button about memberships, and down here is a subscribe button and a suggested video just for you. And until the next one, I'll say bye for now.